So we've seen this phenomenon in the cities, and as we grow, we need a proper planning. We had this spatial planning that the chiefs should have been known of it, that be given the fact of it. They're not aware of it.
It is only natural that when a resource is found within a particular locality, the people of that locality must be among the first to enjoy the benefits. Communities that host multinational companies in oil and gas often bear the brunt of losing their livelihoods. Most often, they depend on their land for survival, but the resources often exploited is in the land as well. And so, apart from losing their livelihood, they are most often not qualified enough to be employed by these multinationals that require highly skilled labor. Awolai Avoblay is the chief of Anochi. He sits and watches with mixed feelings as gas resources are extracted from his village and carted across the country. Till date, his community is yet to realize what benefits exist for them.
As I'm talking, I say every blessing day, about 25 tankers, they fill them at Kontu. They live here to where they are going. Even at all, have been given one tanker for Anochi, that this tanker, you have to help us to use that money to do something in our communities.
The people of Anochi and surrounding areas are concerned about the heat that is generated as a result of the flaring by Ghana Gas. According to research, vegetation that is 200 meters from gas flare point suffer 100% loss in terms of crop yield. Those 600 meters away have 45% loss of crop yield, while those 1,000 meters away suffer 10% loss. Nana Kobnan Ketia IV is the Omanhene of Isikado in the Sekendi Takrady metropolis. Nana remembers vividly the story of the people of Akonsombo and how the people from whose land the electricity for the entire country was generated got passed over.
So the electricity was generated for other places, but the people who actually suffered in terms of their ancestral lands and their livelihood, they even bypassed the villages there.
This story of Akonsombo makes Nana livid, and he is afraid that something similar might befall the people of the Western region, especially that oil is a non-renewable resource.
This region happens to have gold, but it doesn't add value to it. It has manganese, it doesn't add value to it. It has bauxite, it doesn't add value to it. Now we have oil. So in a sense, most of the so-called resources are really somebody else's resources. We are just a region for extraction. So you become very worried whenever certain things are found in your region. And the question you ask is, to what extent does this benefit the people in the region?
Nana has sworn an oath to serve his people and is already concerned that young people are leaving the shores of this country in droves in search of greener pastures.
When people do that with their feet, it tells you that they don't have faith. They are voting for the country with their feet by walking out. And it tells you that in spite of everything you seem to have, there's something wrong. So we're hoping, and we still do hope, that the latest find would make a difference.
Nana Akosua Jemfiaba II has her own worry about the oil find and what it is doing to the moral fabric of her society.
Ejuma biara ana ejuma kesi biara ba omanum a na odze ahoho na adze aba nti no oil yi be so no ahoho abrofo na adze aba nti no ewi am robbery na adze so wa akoshe.
Kukua, not her real name, is a school dropout and currently prostituting. She's one of those attracted to the Western region as a result of the oil find. Even though she has learned a trade as a seamstress, she says the money is not as good as she makes from the new breed of clientele she gets from Takrady, whom she says paid good money for her services.
Meme hozo ewa krabai hadam no ba utiminya la emu edwe na has oil ne swintina like abrofo no ewa hanum.
In Kukua, we also learn about an increase in crime and violence that come along with the oil boom. She shares her experiences.
Me so much me phone da na me na fofo no bi won po bi otimi kase nipa na twe sekan esi ne so omutimi je sekan dia u phone o sika o bibia omutimi de yam.
59 years after independence, people of Ngloflo, birthplace of the Osajefo, are yet to see good roads. And yet, It is in these parts of Ghana that oil has been struck. Daniel K. Ishan is the DCE for Elembele District Assembly. One would expect him to be proud to preside over this area that gave Ghana its first president.
The road that you pass through, people say, the first president owned place. Why is that the road is not good? And if you are not careful, they will say that the DC or the assembly is not performing. But we are doing our best.
If there is one thing the indigents of the ancient town of Lower Axim know best, it is fishing. They are blessed with the sea and the fish resource that comes with it. Almost everyone here is one way or the other connected to fishing. Fishing for the people of Axim is their livelihood, and anything that takes fishing away from them takes away their livelihood. For the past decade, fish stock has been declining, and the livelihood of over 2 million Ghanaians who depend on fish is at risk. Solomon Kusiampofo of Friends of the Nation talks about the practices that have led to the declining fish stock.
There are too many boats and too many people going for fishing. There is also overfishing. There is the use of unsustainable methods of fishing, where people use light to fish, people use small mesh size of net to fish, people use chemicals to fish. All of these culminate into the declining of our fish stocks.
With the discovery of oil, fishermen have had to compete in the same maritime space with oil exploratory vessels, thus further aggravating the plight of the people. Solomon Kusiampofo has come face to face with actors in the oil industry and how they affect the livelihood of fisherfolk.
There has been recorded accidents between fishing vessels and also oil vessels, which has also resulted in the death of some of the fishermen. In some of these accidents, you realize that there wasn't enough communication between the maritime route of these oil vessels and also the fishing vessels, and that resulted in the crash and unfortunately the loss of lives.
Michael Noko is the chief fisherman and secretary to the District Canoe Council in Lower Axim. Michael is not a fish scientist, but he has been in this business long enough to know that fish is attracted to light. He talks about this phenomenon in relation to the conflict it brings between fisherfolk and the oil extraction companies.
Ada wo friend nam opekania. Inti efrina wo de besi wono enkania ye homma. The man kania wa ye homma no yemfa ne de se efrini si ha na nnami da yemfa ne da ankobra. Enya kania no okwa kesi wona da menam ni na obetwa wa ba bebia nkania ne kese no wono. Inti so bebe gina woni dama no chere bebi o ede yakoka yejima no enam ne nuwo we na wa ba bebi ankane no wo no inti no ede yanso ye ba bebi a ankane no wo no a enam no wogwa na abehye no ne yejima na ho ene yakwa no wo se mama yanko ho inti obandama aka wa ya ba ye da akwadwuma ye no na ye de yansa pen ye da aba
rek no na ate me won yakasa de yanko no de yan na ye de ye pede ana de ye pede ye ko rek no jesa ada nti dem okom because ya kan no yenya bi nti be ma nam no wono sisi adam no so afi ansa na waba tu no afi ansa na waba na sisi aso rake na o de be sisi wono light no aso no ama da ma nam ni na wo kijan rake no nti ye konsu na yenya bi ase ye ko rake no ye ko hwede wo ho ana da wonu nti ye ko to wonde wo.
Alex Yausaba is the regional director of fisheries in the Western region. The fisheries department is mandated to regulate and manage the fishing industry to sustainably exploit the fisheries resources. Yausaba agrees that fish are attracted to light, but thinks that perhaps there is a solution in sight to solving the problem of declining fish stock in our waters.
We are in a country where we don't have any marine protected area. So those areas could be deemed to be artificial or marine protected areas, safe haven for the fish. And every space has its carrying capacity. The fish may be attracted to that place, but as they breed, the space becomes too small for them. There'll be competition for space, food, everything. So they start moving out. So that will inure to their benefit, because as they move out, they grow, they will be bigger and there will be more for them to catch.
Solomon Kusiampofo of Friends of the Nation has a different opinion.
So we need to put in place a marine spatial plan and have marine reserves. The marine spatial plan will designate specific areas for fishing, will designate specific areas for other maritime activities such as oil and gas and also transportation. If you are not able to put all these in place, then we are going to create a bigger mess for our fishing industry.
Michael has a story to share.
2013, Marakuya Metri, Mihamako, near sea traffic, ship one. Amayamanum Bubian, Nipako Tonsum Yehun, and Damenyoka say Yehunufun, near Yene Crampuni.
Mr. Mensah is a fisherman and he goes where the fish is. Though a native of Osu, he has had to settle here in the western region in pursuit of his livelihood. Now, oil has also come to settle in the same space with him. And this, to Mr. Mensah, is not good. Apart from competing with oil rig vessels and other marine trawlers, there are frequent boat accidents, and Ghana has no law in place regarding how to tackle this phenomenon. Solomon again.
If there is any activity by an oil vessel within the marine space, the fishermen should be well communicated to. They should know these are the routes that the vessels will be passing through and that we should try to avoid them.
Since 2009, there's been over 30 recorded cases of whales that have washed ashore.
This is unprecedented. There has never been in the history of this country where within just a space of 6 years, you have about 30 whales washed ashore. And this calls for intensive investigations. The EPA set up a committee to look at this. But for me, it should go beyond what the EPA has come up with. We should do an extensive investigation to see what are the causes of the death of these whales. Because when these whales washed ashore, the impact is on the communities. You know, when the whales are in decomposition state, there are some certain bacteria which come out from these whales. And if it gets in touch with you, you can't be impotent. Another whale was washed ashore in Hafasini in the Jomoro district. And if you see the pictures, I was marveled. People were sitting on the wheel. People were just enjoying on the wheels. Then I asked myself, wow, we need to increase education because these people's lives are at risk.
Zanzule is one of the communities hosting a multi-million-dollar oil company called ENI. The Queen Mother of Zanzule was full of hope and happy that her people will get lucrative jobs and turn their lives around. But that was not to be. Their farmlands have been taken over and some of her people are yet to get compensated for this. Isaac Newton Biney is a youth leader within the Zanzule community.
If compensation is being paid for landowners, although the sea is not belonging to anybody, but there are people also working in it, which compensation should also be paid to them for losing that livelihood.
Kwesi J. Enning is a member of the Institute of Financial and Economic Journalists. He has reported on a number of issues affecting the livelihoods of the people of the Western region. He is, however, concerned about the plight of the people who are bearing the brunt of the oil find.
We don't have to forget that people within the catchment of the oil enclave, that is Sekenita Takoradi Metropolis and its environs, are feeling the heat of having to pay more, in rent and everything, because there is serious competition for space.
Honorable Joseph Kujo is MP for Efia constituency in Sekendi Takoradi Metropolis. His constituents have one major concern.
My constituency is right in the middle of Sekendi Takoradi. Since 2007, when this oil find was announced, you saw land, even prices, moving to the roof.
This undoubtedly brings a lot of hardship to the ordinary workers who do not make the kind of money associated with salaries of workers in the oil and gas